What would Jesus do? I've never been a fan of that slogan. Gonna talk about it next on Pastor Bob Daily. Dear Pastor Bob, should Christians ask, what would Jesus do when approaching tough daily decisions and circumstances? You know, I've always thought that this slogan really lacked some foundation. Let me tell you why. First of all, it was created as a marketing gimmick, and we have a lot of them in the Christian industry. And people have made a lot of money on WWJD, and they still do. But it's really lacking, and it's not exactly what we ought to be looking at. Now, consider a few others. WWJD, what would Jesus drink? Because I have a friend that decided that it was okay for him to drink way too much wine at a wedding because, well, Jesus turned the water into wine at a wedding, so it was really okay for him to get drunk. What would Jesus do? Or here's one that might hit home a little more. HWJV, how would Jesus vote? If you're a Democrat, you believe strongly that Jesus would have voted Democrat. If you're a Republican, that he would have voted Republican. And whatever you are in the world, you kind of would think that Jesus would vote the same way that you would. Really? You see, we're not very good at deciding what Jesus would do. We're really not. In fact, I'd like to suggest another slogan. WDJD. What did Jesus do? You see, that's where we really learn. You know, it's not just this kind of idealistic thing with what would Jesus do, and most people don't know enough about Jesus to make that kind of decision. But when you study what he did, when you study what he said, when you study what and how he reacted to different situations, then you can safely say this is what Jesus would do because this is what he did. WDJD, what did Jesus do? You know, we're really afraid to read our Bibles, and we're really afraid to study theology. And I've told you before, theology is made up of two words, theo, God, and ology, the study of God. That's a pretty cool thing, really. It's our owner's manual. If you want to know who God is, you read his owner's manual. That's basically the bottom line. If you want to know what Jesus would do, you study what he did. It's in the Bible. And the more you know about him, and the more you read about how he acted and interacted in a variety of situations, then you're qualified pretty much to say, what would Jesus do? Because you realize what he did, what he showed us. And his example is what we take when we make decisions for our present and for our future. So this is important, folks. The Bible says to lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways acknowledge him, and he'll make your path straight. And when you do the old, what would Jesus do? You're leaning on your own understanding, your own limited understanding of what you think Jesus might do. And I have to tell you, for things like that, I don't know him well enough. Well, I've been a Christian for 60-some years now, and I've studied a lot, but I wouldn't dare to say this is what Jesus would do. But I can be really sure when I tell you this is what Jesus did. Now, I realize there's a fine line there, but it's an important one because, for one, I'm leaning on my own understanding of what I think he would do instead of really understanding what he did and the foundations that he laid and the example that he showed us. So let him be your example, and don't just randomly make decisions on what you think he might do. Make decisions on what Jesus did. God bless you. Have a great day.